Hi, this is Dr. Ray Jen. Welcome to what I call digital grading or grading in the digital age. We all know, because we've all experienced this, the worst part about teaching English is the amount of grading there is. And let's face it, if you are going to teach English correctly, you must offer comments back to the students who write. Otherwise, they'll never learn. But it takes so much time. It's not like some of our other teaching colleagues who can do a multiple choice test very quickly. We don't have that luxury. If our students are writing, and they should be writing, otherwise they won't become fluent in English, at least not in the writing aspect. They need to write, and we need to give them feedback. But how do you do that in 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 just a short amount of time that we have? Um, Let me tell you, in the first semester, I had 8 3-draft essays, and I was able to give 150 of my students, my AP students, a grade and comments on 8 of those, all 8 of their essays that they turned in on the first semester. Let me show you how that's done. Um, so first of all, let's go to my AP class. You're right here. Here's my AP classes. It's just like how I set it up for your class. I have the student's name is here, and then when I click on their names, their websites come up. So the person I want to look at is, it could be any of them, and you're welcome to go to my website and check it out because I'm not staging just one of them. But Dean Abramson, here are his first semester websites, and I want to check out his 50 years MLA and take a look at that. And so I have every student write 3 drafts. Draft 3 here, draft 2 is here, and draft 1 is here. I I usually have at draft 1, I usually have them have a peer response, and here is Dean's peer respondent. It is Tess Von Flew gave these comments to Dean here. And then at draft 2, that's the one I grade for 100 points. And here are my comments for him. They are found right here. And then here's his draft 3, and which is a it's based on the comments, on my comments, and I also require him to, here are, he calls it your changes, and then the red, my changes. And I insist that not only do they correct the things that I tell them to correct, I insist that they find their own mistakes and or areas in improvement, because it's never quite done, and have them demonstrate how they are going to improve their essays with my comments and without my comments. And so if draft 2, that's the one I grade and offer comments, that's worth 100 points. So the draft 3 here is worth just 25 points. But if they don't do it, I give them a 0. Even if they had a 100% A plus in draft 2, if they don't do a draft 3 and they don't make any improvements, they get a 0. And it's the same the other way around. If they do very poorly in draft 2, get a C or a D, they could get an A or 25 out of 25 on draft 3 by making many um, corrections on draft 3. So how do we go about doing this, and how do we do this quickly? So let me show you my grading form. It's right no here. So what I do is in Google Docs, I create a form, and this is the MLA for the 50 years, and I have some question. Here's my prompt that I give the students just to remind myself. And here are some sample This is in MLA. I also have one for APA, for Chicago 1, for Chicago 2, and for CSE, Council of Science Editors. So those are the 5 formats I teach my AP students. So here we go. Let's say I read Dean's essay, and so I'll type in Abramson, comma, Dean. And then I simply, when I read his essay, I just check. Are there 5 different sources? There aren't 5 sources. There are not all the sources were print sources. I saw when I, under the category, I just create these categories, these questions. Number of sources, were there enough? Were there enough citations? Yes, no. Then I look for the in-text citations. Did they use the standard one? Did they use the variation ones? So I could click as many as apply. And then I look at their common in-text citation errors. And remember, I used to have to write all these out by hand, one by one, for all 150 papers. Well, that would take forever. But now, instead, I just go in and click, click, click. Then I look for common error, writing errors, such as, hey, you use the second person. I don't like that. There's poor grammar. Hey, the antecedent on your pronouns are wrong. Or I can say, hey, good job, minimal or no writing errors. And then I look at their essay format. Is the intro good, or does it need work, right? What about the body paragraphs? Are they in the Jane Schaefer formula? It's good for students who don't know how to write, but in an AP class, no one should be using Jane Schaefer. Okay? Is there good voice, good tone, or does it need, the transitions need work? The sources were not well, or the authors weren't well introduced. It's a little boring. The writing's a little boring. What about the works cited? What errors were in there? Hey, they weren't alphabetized correctly. Where's that? Entries not alphabetized. The the hanging indents didn't work, or they forgot to use forgot to tell me what medium it was. And then readability. Were there 2 drafts? And then a grade. Now look, at each of these junctures, notice there is an other. So if there's a writing error and there's something there that's not in these lists, I can write it in. So I could say something like, don't forget to add quotations, or something like that. I could, on each of these, I have an other where I can type in personal comments, questions, suggestions for Mr. Abramson here, and I can have I can type in quite a bit here as well, and then I submit it. And then I could submit another response, and then I'm ready to grade my next paper. On the back end, if we go all the way to the end, because it's the latest one, here is Dean Abramson's comments. Here's all the ones that I clicked, all the comments that I clicked. So what I do is I click through, and then I publish a copy of this. Here are the grades. Of course, I don't show the students each other's grades. So what I do is make a copy of this chart. Here's my copy. Notice I take out the grades. I also take out the timestamp when I did the grading. Then I alphabetize the everyone, all 150 of my students, and here are their comments. And it's almost as fast as I can read. And I would use this method even if the students' essays weren't online. I have my class write all their essays online. I don't want to collect paper, just like I don't collect any paper from you, or nor do I want email from you. I just want you to put it all on your website, and when I grade it, when I'm ready to grade, it'll be there. And same thing with my high school students. They put everything online. But let's say I don't I don't have access, or my students don't have access, and they're giving me paper. I would grade it the exact same way. I would use the um, MLA chart here, or the form, and I would do exactly the same thing, only to a piece of paper. And if I wanted to, I could print this out. I could print out this form, and then I could use a pen and click them with a pen if I want to do that, and then staple this form onto their papers. Or I could make them go online and find my comments. And so just like this is what Dean did. He went online, found my copies for him, my comments. So he copied this out, pasted it on his website here. Here's my comments right here. And then then I don't have to go back and forth. He's pasted it right here. And then I require him to make the changes that I said all the errors that he made in his paper, I made him correct them and highlight them he used yellow. And then his own, he highlighted in red. And so I would give him 25 points out of 25 points for draft 3 because he did what I asked him to do. He made these corrections. I was able to give him personal comments on his writing, and he was able to use that to produce another draft and called it draft 3. I find this very, very, very efficient, and it involves the student. The student is not just a recipient of comments and grades. They are now an active participant and grading becomes not just an evaluation tool, it becomes a learning tool as well, because now they have to make corrections based on what I said they did. The most frustrating thing for me when I was a younger teacher, before I did this system, was I would spend all weekend grading and offering big comments, major comments. I'd return it to them on Monday. They'd look at my comments for about 5 seconds and then throw it in the trash on the way out of the door. I almost cried in frustration the first time that happened because I spent all weekend grading it. So I vowed never, ever, ever to do that again. I would never just waste my time and have it not benefit the students. If I'm going to spend that much time grading, my goodness, they are going to spend time learning from that experience, from my experience. So now I make them do another draft based on my comments, and it becomes an evaluation, not just an evaluation tool, but also a learning tool for all my students. So I'm able to grade 150 essays very, very, very quickly. And well, you saw the number of students I have, and we wrote look at all these essays they wrote in the first semester. So they had a lot of writing to do. I had a lot of reading, and I did it digitally, and that's the only way I could figure out how to do it and still offer comments. So how do we set that up? You go to Google Drive, you go to create, and you go to form. You could use a theme. So if you like, I usually just use the the plain form, but you could make this and use it as a peer response and then make it pretty. So we could use this setup. And so the first question is name, last, first. And these are instructions for me because this is a form that I use for myself, and then I publish the back end. So this is for essay 3 in APA. If you don't teach the formats, then just leave the APA out. Just call it, and you can call it whatever you want. And then what type of question is it? You have text, and this is a text question. And when it's a text question, then I require that they answer it, or that I require that I answer it, then click done. Let's add an item. And let's look at a paragraph text. I could say comments. I usually put that at the end, but that was the next one. So I make that a. I don't require that because I might not have any comments. Done. I add another item. The next one is multiple choice. The multiple choice, there's only one correct answer. So something like, what's your grade? So I would put this at the end. Grade. So I'm doing it out of order, but I'm just going in the order of these question types. So this one, it could be A. This one could be B. This one C. D. F. Other. Required. So here it is, A, B, C, D, F, other, just in case maybe I want to put a incomplete or a B minus, B plus. And now I could build all those pluses and minuses in here as well, but I just put other just to show you how to do it. Then I'm going to add an item. The next one is a checkbox. A checkbox, how it differs from multiple choice is, in multiple choice, you only pick one. So you only give them an A, or B, or C, D, or an F, or another. In checkboxes, you can have more than one answer that you can click. So I would do something like grammar. Good grammar. Few errors. Or antecedents do not match pronouns. Subject verb agreement error, and so on and so forth. I could add another, and you saw I had many options for some of those categories. I'm requiring this. Done. Let's add another item. Let's see what else is there. Choose from a list. I don't usually use that one. Scale. I don't usually. It's like it's setting up a scale like 1 to 5, 5 being best, 1 being worst. I don't use those in grading. A grid. Grid is sometimes nice. Now these are good. Like choose from a list, grade, grid, date, time. Those are good for if you send home to your parents a survey. That's when I would use those. For grading purposes, I pretty much restrict myself to text, paragraph text, multiple choice, check boxes. And from there, once you're done, then you could go to the live form, and there it is. It's ready to use. So here you could check more than one. Here you could check only one, and then last name, Jen, comments, very nice work. Submit, and it's ready for me to offer another response. I can go back into the drive, and I can go back here, look at my responses, here they are. Jen, nice work. C, and here are my comments. Happy grading. I hope this has been useful for you. This is what I've been doing for years. And like I said, even if you don't want to do it in the digital format, you could do this on paper. And so this is way better than writing it out by hand on their paper. Just set it up on Google Docs and do the check boxes. All right, happy grading and have a good one.